Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to the eLearning, the use of ICT for schools 2010. This was a conference that was held in Cape Town on the 20th of January 2010 and was organized by the GPT conference in SA as a company based in South Africa. They actually into conferencing and eventing. I was invited as one of the speakers on the event, and I was speaking on e-learning the future. And my question was, are we there yet? My name's Balora Samuel Gogo, but people call me Sam, and that's fine if you call me Sam. My email address is sam4sda@gmail.com, and my web address is www.ittrainer-emea.spaces.live.com. My cell phone number is 2739771739. If you call me, I'll be happy to speak with you. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I hold certifications in Microsoft certified engineer and also an administrator. I also have certifications in the Microsoft MCAS, which is called the Microsoft Certified Application Specialist, and I also have certifications in CompTIA, which is the A+, the M+, the Security Plus. I'm a member of the South African Computer Society. Enough for me now. Well, let's just go to the main reason why you're listening and watching this presentation. It's about e-learning, and I will be talking on more of e-learning. What are the best practices? How can we start e-learning? What is the starting point? What are the things that are missing out? What are the things we are neglecting to know? So I'll be talking based on that aspect as we go through the presentation. E-learning the future. E-learning arises from different understanding of the field. Most often we attach our experience, things we've experienced as learners, as trainers, and careers to our conversation, which presents an image of e-learning that reflects what we've encountered. So sometimes most of our experience, we say, oh, this is the way e-learning works. Now, let's look at what some people think about e-learning. For an instructional designer, e-learning often means courses or learning materials directed at meeting an objective, probably within a large scope of program development. Now, these people are people who design programs, they design content in order to meet a specific objective of their audience. Looking at an educator in the classroom, or the teacher in the school, or a corporate trainer or a private instructor, you may view e-learning as a combination of courses, whereby they train on various kinds of courses, various kinds of programs, and they also look at it as also a knowledge management. So in all of this, we have no one perspective that symbolizes the whole industry. So we don't have a specific definition for it. Everybody sees it the way it suits them. Somebody who walks on the street, asks him about e-learning, he has a different dimension about how e-learning works. Some people say learn anywhere. Some say, oh, you can learn anytime. Some call it distant learning. What is e-learning all about? Based on a survey that was done toward 205 responses, and they were categorized as employees, customers, channel partners, investors, and other people in the aspect of using e-learning. They were employees, and these people summarizes how e-learning has helped them in their own field. Learners, we actually were talking to learners in these fields, and we had employees, people from who companies have sent to go on a course through the computer. They actually had to go through this training online, where they actually speak with instructors online instructors were instructing them. They were actually learning online, and we had about 58%, which is actually a good number because they can actually be working and on their normal day-to-day work and actually be doing learning. So probably they might have their break time to actually go online, and they can actually attend conferences. They can actually attend live meetings, and with all these, we can actually say the employees are actually doing better to actually use e-learning as a tool to actually further their education. And we have customers. Well, in this aspect of customers, I call them students. The people you find in the classroom, the students in the institution, campuses, university students. So I categorize them as customers. Then the channel partners. Channel partners are people who work with companies who create programs. So they actually work with the institution and try to tell them, direct them in the way they should go. And we're looking at the partners we have so far. We had about 3%, which is a very low number. So investors, we didn't have any responses from any investors, and from other people who were using e-learning as learners, we had about 12%. The day-to-day work, people who use e-learning in their day-to-day work. We have instructors. We have private instructors. We have company instructors. And we have about 9.5%. These were instructors who use e-learning in their day-to-day work. And we have instructional design. These are softwares, these are programs that companies have designed to actually meet the needs of e-learning. And there are lots of bunch of softwares who are out there, and they say they can do e-learning. I've tried some of them works, some of them actually can't meet my needs. So it's based on are we actually doing e-learning. And we have curriculum development. We have about 10.9%. We also have graphics and multimedia design. We have about 1.5%. We have the interface design. We have about 0.7%. And on the LMS and the LCMS integration, for the benefit of people who really don't understand the concept of this, the LMS means Learning Management System. Is an integration. So probably when you find software, you find programs that can actually say, oh, we have an LMS integration. What they're trying to say is that with the LMS integration, you can actually monitor the progress of your students. You can actually view their reports. It helps you to actually give an assessment of a particular group or particular people you're actually training. Then when you find the word LCMS, it means Learning Content Management System. Now when you find programs like this who says they also can do an LCMS integration, what they're trying to mean is that they're trying to say that you can actually load content with this program. You can create your own content in this program, and this program allows you to also load your own content programs, and you can actually view them on the internet or via the platform you're trying to use for your e-learning. And on this we have about 4.4%. On department and program manager we had about 21%, 21.2%, which is actually high, and we see that people are actually doing better in trying to create programs that will meet e-learning perspectives. We have online facilitators and instructors, and we had about 0.7%, which is actually low. We're actually having low instructors going online instructing their students, but instead we have the computer, we have computers, robots, we have softwares who are actually doing those work, which are actually not really the best, but because if you have instructors, they're able to meet individual needs of the learners as they go on training. And we have the research, we have about 3.6%, subject matter experts, we have about 3.6%, and also for other people in the field who use e-learning as their day-to-day work, also have about 20.4%. Now, based on this analysis, it was done based on 205 responses. These people were people who attended conferences, seminars, workshops, and it was done globally, but Africa was not included in this analysis. So if you're looking at this, it's not based on an Africa analysis. It's based on global analysis of other countries, which you have the Asia, you have the Americans, you have the Middle East, and you have the Australians and all that. So these were based on those countries because they were the people who participated in this survey, but Africa was not included. Now, the main reason why I'm showing this is so that we can know that as Africans, we know where we can start from. We know that the hurdle for the e-learning has actually not gotten to its peak, so we can actually start moving. Based on the South African analysis, when I was going through my research, I discovered there's a popular program called Moodle. It's called moodle.org, and I actually saw that about 143 schools in South Africa are actually using Moodle. And I went through all their website, and I was very impressed that most of the schools, even the primary schools, the secondary schools, they were actually using Moodle in their schools. You can find it on their website. Students can log on with their username and password. It's so interesting that at least South African schools are actually embracing e-learning, which is really a good thing. The question I was asking, are we there yet? I have 6 subtopics, and I categorize them as best practices. How does it work? You meet somebody and tell him right now, do you know what e-learning is all about? He says, yes, I know e-learning. And you ask him, how does it work? He said, oh, well, you just have your computer, you have an internet, you just log onto the internet. But if you look back, when e-learning started, it was actually not done online, it was actually done offline, whereby sometimes the items or the resources that you need to use to conduct the e-learning will actually be probably posted to you through a book format. Sometimes it comes with CD-ROMs, whereby you have to have a computer, you have to have a DVD drive, whereby you run the CD, and the CD start giving you instructions and start training you, start giving you ideas. So these were basically how e-learning started. Now, how well does it work? Because we are talking of e-learning. How well does it work? Then I have another topic. Topic is called try out e-learning. Try out e-learning. Before you became, because when I had the concept about e-learning, I actually had to try e-learning. I actually had to go to people who are already doing e-learning. I had to take courses online. I had to see how it works. Then I was able to develop my own learning skills. Now with that, because I'm an instructor, I was able to develop my skills by actually uploading content on the internet. I actually have to lecture people. I actually have to communicate with them. So through the training, I was able to communicate with my learners. So as I train, I was able to meet their needs. If they ask questions, I was able to answer them. Now, why this were only possible because I became a learner. I became an e-learner. Now, when I became an e-learner, I saw how it was done. I saw how the process was being done. So I was able to understand what e-learning was all about. Then the motivation. How do you motivate your students to actually appreciate e-learning? How do you motivate yourself as an instructor to actually embrace e-learning? How do you motivate your institution to actually embrace e-learning? What are the aspects you tell your institution, we need e-learning, we need e-learning? They all know what e-learning is all about, but how do you motivate them? Then I said, how do you invest? One of them I have is how to invest in software. We have a bunch of softwares. There are a lot of software that says they can do this, they can do that, but how do we invest in the software? We'll find out as we go through the presentation. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Now let's go to the next slide. Best practices. Yeah, I put a question mark. Is there what are the best practices? Like I would tell anyone, when you go on the internet, there are a lot of informations on how we can actually get e-learning started. Now, it depends on you as an instructor or as an educator or as a publisher or a designer or a website designer, and you want to implement e-learning. There are a lot of people who are claiming on the net, there are a lot of programs, there are a lot of advertisements saying they can do e-learning. Now you're most likely to actually look at this best practice and actually know if they actually can do e-learning. Number one, does the e-learning program or that software focus on the needs of the learner? Because it has to focus on the needs of the learner, because the e-learning is not just about the trainer or how good a trainer can be or how the institution can be good. It's about the learner, how e-learning can actually get to the people. How people can appreciate e-learning, how they can be successful with e-learning, how they can learn better using e-learning. Then you have to take advantage of the internet. Now, most of these programs, do they support read time? Are they 24 hours? Can it be accessed anywhere? And also, you can also try to see if this program can actually do streaming for you, like the popular program, the YouTube. You can actually stream your videos. You can actually create videos. You can stream it on YouTube. Students can actually go there. They can watch your videos. They can write comments. They can communicate with you. They can ask questions after watching your videos. You might be on holidays. You can take a vacation, and all the training are already on the video. So all they need to do is to go online and view the video. You don't have to create a bunch of CDs. You don't have to start sending CDs. Those are costs. So now, because you've streamed your videos, you're actually cutting costs of creating CD-ROMs, creating CDs to send to your students. Bringing people together to collaborate. Now, this aspect, I call it wikis, creating of wikis and blogs or forums. Now, when you create these programs, these forums and these wikis or blogs, you actually can bring your students together. You can provide resources through that means. You can provide advices through that means. You can actually communicate better by collaborating with one another, whereby a student can discuss with one another. You can also give them instruction. You can also give them resources, and you can also make them understand the reason why they need to actually collaborate with one another. They're personalized, often by combining learning objects on the fly. On this aspect, I call it the authoring tools. Now, when you go through your research on e-learning, you come across words like authoring tools. Now, authoring tools are tools that you can actually use to create your own content. Like, for example, a publisher who actually create books and publish programs of CD-ROMs. And with authoring tools enables you to actually create your program and have them online. Like, for example, you have table of contents, you have index, you have frequent questions and answers. Now, with these tools, you can actually create your own content online and have them online and have people actually access this content online by creating credentials for them. And also, you can offer more than one learning method. For example, you can do virtual classrooms. There's a program called the Microsoft Live Meeting, where people can actually go there and actually study live. And I call this synchronous training. This synchronous training enables you to actually be online at the same time while your learner is also online, and you can communicate with one another. You can also have simulations. You can create simulations like creating a demo of how a program works, like trying to you doing it yourself as a learner and actually putting it online and actually allow the learner to watch how it works, so they can actually look at the program and understand how it works. They incorporate administrative functions like registration. Like, for example, if you look at Moodle, before you can log in onto Moodle, you have to register, and when you register, the administrator have to accept you. There has to be some requirements you have to meet, and also payment and chargebacks. You can also offer payments online. Like, for example, if you're using your authoring tools, you have some programs you've already uploaded. These people have they paid? Have they made their payments? So you can actually use it as a medium of accepting payments online, whereby when they go through your website or whatever platform you're providing for them, they can log onto the website, they can make their payments, and they will have whatever program they are purchasing for. And monitoring learning progress. Does this program have elements like earlier on explained, the learning management system, whereby you can actually monitor your learners' progress, you can actually monitor their assessment, you can actually monitor the results reports and how they're doing. You can also have testing, like you can do quizzes, and you can actually, does this program do quizzes? Can I create quizzes with this program? And also maintaining the records. How does it work? E-learning focus on the individual learner. Now, for years, we have training institutions organize themselves for the convenience and the needs of instructors and institutions. Some say I want to go to a good institution. Some say I can learn on a particular college. But that is not what we're saying here. We're trying to say how well does it work? How does it work? And I call this bad attitude. If organizations can depend on lecturers, instructors to actually meet the needs of all kinds of learning, then I call it a bad attitude. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the instructors who are in the school, the institution who are delivering training, it's a bad attitude. No, what I'm trying to say is, if the if the feeling for the instructors and the needs of institutions are actually the main essence of e-learning, then is a bad attitude, because we have to understand that the instructor centered is based on the instructor providing resources, directing the students, using tools to meet the needs of the students. If you look at the internet today, the internet is changing everything. Education and training are also changed, and it is time we need to have a new approach to e-learning. Like I would say the other time, think e-learners as customers, people you're offering your services, people you need to get satisfied. If you look at the business world today, they say the customer is always right. Now, how does the customer is always right? You actually make sure you meet their needs. You actually make sure they are satisfied with the training you're providing for them. Now, it says compete for their time, trying to buy their time to make them interested more, provide services, good services, and convert them to your fans. Try to make them look important. Try to communicate with them. Try to get in touch with them. And also try to give them choices. Try to create other programs. Try to create different kinds of ways they can actually work with you. So putting all this in place, this is how the instructor can actually be a center in all the learners. Looking at the learner center, like you see the graphics being displayed, you can see the learner is connected to so many resources. So many resources are available to the learners. Now, when these resources, like I've stated, are in place, I believe we have a better learner. We have them learning at the peak of e-learning. You have the web. They can go to the web, do research, give them assignments, instruct them to go do research. You can do video conferencing. They can be at home. You can schedule video conferencing. There are programs so actually you can purchase their commercial programs. But with the Skype, you can actually do video conferencing, though you need a very good amount of bandwidth. And you can also do video conferencing with Ustream. There's a program called Ustream, and Ustream actually enables you to do a live program whereby you can be at home, you can be on vacation, you can be outside the country, and you can actually be communicating with your student through live program. It's live. When you use that program, you actually can be talking to your student, and because they have a computer connection, they have an internet connection, they can actually be listening to you. You have pair chats. You can actually create a platform where students can actually speak with one another. They can communicate. Like if you look at the Moodle, Microsoft the Microsoft Educational Lab has actually created a program where students, as they learn on Moodle, they can actually communicate with one another. Like they actually uploaded the live messenger, where students can actually use their credentials, and as they come online, they can actually communicate and actually ask questions as the lecture is going on. Some of them may not understand the question, and they can ask one another. With this pair chat, they can actually communicate with one another. Mentoring, you can actually pick a particular student, actually mentor them through video conferencing or through video chats. You can actually do this online. You can outsource for learning materials that can meet the needs of your students. You can outsource for them. Now, they are connected to these resources. They are connected to learning communities, wikis, blogs, where people go and ask questions. They are connected to the online training portal from the school. They are connected to mobile devices. Look at the mobile devices in the world today. People actually can view their documents online. Like, for example, the mobile device I have is called the Motorola Q9H. I can actually view a PDF file. I can actually send emails. I can actually attach my documents. I can actually view almost any website that can be viewed on a computer. So we can understand that e-learning actually can be done. It is possible. We have the colleges where students can actually use the computer in the colleges to actually conduct trainings, e-learning, and you can actually have them do e-learning while in school. You have it on classroom. You can actually do presentations on classroom. You can actually have your whiteboard. You can actually have your screen. You can actually have your projectors and actually train the student through the presentation, because the high concept. If you look at the children today, they are very good at watching TVs, movies. Now, when you make these a part of the learner process, then they become a better learner, because they hardly. If you look at most of the students, I was talking with some of them about some movies, and I was surprised that the movies they go watch at the cinemas, they actually can remember every word by word what the the player, the actors, the people, people acting in the movies can actually the words by words what they were saying, and it was really amazing. Now, if we can take this as an e-learning tool and bring it to the classroom, and actually show them, and it feels that they are on a cinema classroom, whereby they can watch the presentation you're showing on the screen, and with these they're able to understand, they're able to remember, they're able to recall that which you're saying. Now, I'm not saying that the blackboard is bad. The blackboard is still good. It's still good, but the e-learning aspect of it is actually an aid to improve or to get to the next level of e-learning. Just a brief description about what I was trying to say about the instructor center. Now, in the instructor center, we have what we call the course content. Now, what do I mean by course content? I mean course content by content the instructor actually creates. Now, like I was explaining the other time, you have authoring tools. Now, you can use these authoring tools to create your own content. You can create this content and you can present them online. You can also do them through streamed videos. Like you're watching these videos right now, it was streamed through a video format. So you can actually do your own presentation and you can stream it through videos, and students or learners can actually go online and actually see that program or the topic or the content you've created. The interaction. You can actually use emails as a means of logistics, whereby you can communicate with your students. You can actually try to monitor their progress. You can actually send them emails, try to send them course updates. If you update the content, probably the next meeting you actually get to meet with a student with whatever method you provided, if online or on site. You actually have to use the email as a method of logistics, and actually send them emails, try to communicate with them, try to keep in touch with them. You can also do the assessment, because at the instructor center you're also doing assessment online. You're trying to know how the students are doing. You're creating quizzes, you're creating tests, you're actually testing their knowledge, actually know how they're doing. Now, these are the aspects of the instructor centered. These are the jobs of the instructors online. Then we have the learner centered. The learner centered on the aspect of course content. I call it negotiate individualized learning goals with each student. Now, with these, students are able to communicate with one another. They're able to communicate with their peers. You can guide them to web-based training resources accordingly. For example, the particular training they have to go on, and you think that this training is actually good for them, you can actually direct them to the right path. You can actually direct them to how they can actually go and actually have a very good training. You can also the interaction aspect. You can provide various means, like I was talking about the pair chat. You can provide various means where the students can communicate with one another through emails. They can email their friends, they can email their peers, they can have telephone chats, they can have discussion groups like the wikis, the blogs. You can also provide opportunities for the students to actually hold and manage discussion groups. Like in the wikis or the blogs, you can make them administrators. They can actually communicate with their peers. Like in the normal traditional classrooms, you have prefects, you have school student heads, you have them monitor the students, you have them send reports to the teachers. So with these online, it actually looks more interesting, whereby you also have them doing the same job as if they were in the classroom. they also have assessment. You can create assessment for them whereby they can take a program, they can take a particular quiz, and after the quiz they can see how they've done well, how bad they've done, so they can actually view their program. So with this learner centered, these are the programs that instructors have actually created for them to actually meet the needs. So the learner see himself as a learner, the instructor see himself as an instructor. So the learner looks up to the instructor, while the instructor looks up the resources to provide to the learner in order to meet the learner's needs. This is a video. It's going to play a little bit right now. It's a demonstration on how a teacher can create an e-learning. Now you can see how now the student is actually trying to follow the direction the instructor has actually created. So this is a demonstration. It's just a demonstration of how a student can actually log on and try to follow up how the instructor has actually created a program for the student. Now the learner is moving the mouse. You can see the direction. You can see how e-learning can be created. So basically, with this short demonstration, we now have an understanding how we as instructors can actually create programs, can actually create table of content, we can put our content online, and actually have students be more interested. Now with this, the student will be more interested in trying to know more about the program, how I can go about it. You can see the instructions on how the student can go about the program. How well does it work? Undeniably, e-learning cuts costs of traveling. Of course, it cuts costs of traveling because people don't have to travel from one destination to another. It also cuts the cost of facilities. Like for example, if you're doing a training in a classroom, you need a projector. It costs money. You need a projector screen. It costs money. And all facilities that needed to be there also cost money. So it saves you the cost of providing facilities and also administrative. It also helps in administrative costs. You don't have to actually have to invest more money in trying to get lecturers. Maybe you have to bring a lecturer all the way from overseas. You have to pay for transportations and all, and hotel reservations. And you also have the reduction of duplicating the efforts of the instructor. And more importantly, the opportunity cost for people away from job in times of great needs. Now, for example, there are some trainings that people need to go for, but they have to be out of job in order for them to attend this training. But look at e-learning. Workers can now learn while working. So it's interesting enough to actually understand that e-learning has a lot of advantages, has a lot of things to give. So I will call it, the first aspect is better. E-learning is better. The traditional learning, the way we've been learning before, is also better, but the e-learning in its contents is better. We can actually learn in a better way. We can actually study in a better way. We can actually know how to do things better as an instructor. Kenneth, from Chevron Corporation, says sharing and managing knowledge throughout our company was one of the key reduction to our operating cost by more than 2 billion a year. Now, if a company can save over 2 billion a year, then we know that e-learning works. Now, this is just from this is just from Chevron Company Corporation. But basically, I'm not saying that will work for you. It depends on how you have started e-learning. What are the things you've put in place? Some have started e-learning. E-learning has not worked for them. E-learning is not better. They've not found e-learning to be interesting. But if you look as we go on through the presentation, you put those ideas, put those strategies in place, you'll be able to understand that e-learning is not just e-learning, but there are some and a lot of things that are involved in order to achieve e-learning. I also call it faster. E-learning is faster because learners can learn better understanding the materials. This leads to a 60% faster learning curve compared to instructor-led training, whereas the average content retention rate of an instructor class is only 58%. The more intensive e-learning experience enhances the retention rate by 25 to 60%. Now, higher retention of the materials puts a higher value on every dollar spent to training. Like I was explaining the other time, the learner actually can remember everything he can see on the screen because their eyes are actually focused. Compared to the classroom as a teacher, have an experience. I've experienced teaching on the classroom. You have students they're either diverted to one aspect of learning, they're either diverted to probably distraction or communicating. They actually don't look at the teacher because the teacher they see the teacher every day, so they're actually distracted. Now, when you implement the use of e-learning to meet the needs of a particular group or student, you actually see them more focused because they actually focus on it. So there's no distraction. They actually focus. Their eyes are focusing on the computer, on whatever devices or whatever platform they provided for them to actually go through the e-learning process. And I call it cheaper. If you check the manual, you have with you, you will find out that Motorola calculates every $1 it spends on training translates to $30 in productive gain within 3 years. Just to add, when I was going through my research, I discovered that there was the HP company actually did. They actually sent They actually sent some workers to training. This happened in America. They actually sent about 5 workers to conduct e-learning, and they actually sent another 5 to go do instructor-led training, which is in the classroom. Now, after the training for about 2 weeks, they did some tests, they did some quizzes, they did some exams, and when the report came, the people who conducted e-learning actually did better than the people who were at the classroom. And it was so amazing that they were supposed to, the people at the classroom were supposed to do more better because they were directly with the instructor. They were communicating directly with the instructor, they were listening to the instructor, they were with all the resources, he was there live with them. And compared to the people who actually just had to look at the computer, actually had to communicate with the instructor online, it was the same process, but e-learning was more better than the classroom. Now, it doesn't mean that the classroom has to be put away. No, people can still learn in the classroom. There are some people you can put them on e-learning, it's not going to work for them. Some are not good at looking at the screen. Some are not looking at listening to videos. Some are not good at listening to audios. But when you put them on the classroom, you find them doing more better than e-learning. So e-learning concept is just to meet the needs of other learners who can actually not be able to do well on the normal traditional classroom or instructor-led training. Try out e-learning. How do we try out e-learning? Like I said the other time when I was from the beginning, I said before I became an e-learner, I had to try out e-learning. Yeah, I had to try out e-learning. I had to become an online learner. I had to know how e-learning works. What is the concept? Because I'm used to buying CD-ROMs of about particular training. I slot it on my computers or my DVD drive, and it plays. And I just hear voices talking, or I just see some instructions telling me how to go about this. These were the earlier ways we understood e-learning. Now we're talking of e-learning in a concept whereby people have to go online through internet to actually access content and programs we've created. Try out e-learning. Be an online learner. The first thing you need to understand is you have to be a learner, an e-learner. You have to be an e-learner to become an instructor online learner. Now, for example, some of the key concepts I want to put into consideration here are: number one, the computer-based training and the web-based training, which were earlier terms referred to as the CBT and the WBT, which is the computer-based training. Now, when you look at this concept, they were actually programs that were loaded into CD-ROMs. These were the ways we were actually doing e-learning, whereby if you're doing distant learning, you actually see them posting you CD-ROMs. I've actually conducted learning with the Penny Foster University in America. They actually can, if you register, they post you CD-ROMs, they post you books, they post you all kinds of materials for you to learn why you are not online. Basically, you're not online learning, but you are learning distantly, but you are not online. And the synchronous, this is a concept. Now when you're looking at programs, you see them with this program. You can also have synchronous training. You can have synchronous training. And when you see synchronous training, the word synchronous in any particular program, they're actually trying to say that whereby an instructor and a student can actually be online at the same time, which requires less labor to develop and more to teach, because you actually talk more, you actually communicate with the student more, you actually meet their needs more and meet their questions more than asynchronous. Asynchronous means when an instructor is actually communicating with the student offline. For example, if you look at this video, if this video was a training program, I will actually create this program. You're actually viewing it where I'm talking, but actually I'm not there while I'm not there as you're listening to this video. So asynchronous training basically means when the instructor creates his own program, upload them through whatever means of medium the learner is accessing it, and actually the learner goes through the program and bring out his questions and answers, actually communicate back to the instructor. Learning management system. They are costly softwares that track employees' education, online and offline. They also provide you with reports. Like I was saying the other time, the LMS, which is a learning management system, it actually enables you to do your training online, whereby students can actually view their reports. Students can view their reports. You can also see the reports of some students. You can actually see how they are progressing. So basically, if we put this key concept in place, we'll be able to understand why we need to implement e-learning. What are the tools we need? We all know about this. E-learning is not a new thing. We all know what e-learning is all about. But basically, what are the tools? What are the things that are necessary? What are the things we need to put at the back of our mind? What are the inspiration aspects? What are the motivations we need to have? What are the things we need to make the student to be interested in e-learning? The Microsoft Live at EDU. As a popular program, if you go to the Microsoft website, you type the Microsoft Live at EDU, it's basically a program created for Microsoft created to meet the needs for institutions, people who conduct training, people who deliver training like universities, high schools, colleges. Now, what does this do? It helps to create email addresses, email communications for users, and where the users are the learners, and it gives them about 10 gigabytes space. That is big, and you can actually use this as a means of communication with your students. Like I was saying the other time, the emails for logistics. You can actually email your students. You can create their own email address, their own names as an administrator. And also you can give them a 25 gigabyte of storage, so they don't have to worry about their computers if their computers are low storage. So they can actually load their content on the SkyDrive offered by the Microsoft Live at EDU. And with this also, you can also share your content with them. You can also upload, as an instructor, you can upload your program on the SkyDrive and also share your content with them. You also have the simplified online collaboration and document sharing with Office Live Workspace. The Live Workspace enables the instructor to actually share content with the learners. It also supports programs like you have the operating system. It also supports the Mac. South Africans most of them use the Mac operating system, and some of them use the Windows system. So this program actually meets the needs of Mac users and also Windows users. And people actually use Firefox. People call it one of the fastest browsers around. You also have the Safaris. The Safaris, you can find it on the Mac software. So this project can actually work on these two operating systems and can also work with these browsers. Motivations. How do you motivate your learners? What are the ideas you need to let them understand? How do you motivate your learners? What are the things you need to create to motivate them? Like I would say, e-learning providers also have a bottleneck. What I mean by bottleneck means there are some lackers. There are some things we need to do in order to make sure the learners are actually focusing on our learning. For example, looking at the learner and the aspects whereby they look at the computers and they're looking at the computers and they're learning. Now, whatever they retain from what they look goes into the brain, so they are able to understand. Compared to where you have to print books, you have to print articles, you have to print them on papers, they have to read. Some of them after 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or sometimes 5 minutes. Some of them are already getting tired of reading. But when they see the computers on the screen or whatever medium you provided for them, most of them like to look at their mobile devices. For example, you provide a solution whereby they can actually get the content from their mobile devices. This is the method of motivating the students, and with these, they're able to have a very high connection with the instructor. For example, looking at professional training, when we started, we had trainees who were loaded into CD-ROMs. Institutions have looked at instructors and trainers in an aspect whereby they are actually not meeting those needs. So what they are doing, they were buying these CD-ROMs, they were buying these programs. These are programs that actually the students are interested in. They look at these programs, they watch these programs, but after the programs, what next? What happens next? They need advice. They need people to direct them. So the instructor is needed to actually direct them in the right aspect. So e-learning, it's not just providing learning to the student, but how we can make them to be interested in learning, and how we can have, as an instructor, what are the forms do you enjoy doing e-learning? You have to enjoy this aspect in order for you to actually be a good learner. Like I said the other time, before you can actually developing e-learning, before you can actually be offering e-learning to your learners, you have to be an e-learner before you can do that. Now, which one of these two learning events fits your e-learning? Because like I said before, we have e-learning whereby you have an instructor led, whereby you can also be conducting e-learning on a site, or you're doing it through electronic medium, through the internet, or through a video device, or through a live program device. Now let's look at this table. But before we look at the table, before we go into the table, I just want to read some of the. You have it on your manual. If you look at your manual on page 9, you have educational psychologist. This was a report from an educational psychologist, not from me, Sam, but just a research an educational psychologist conducted. It says 10% of what we read we remember, we retain, but most of us actually retain more than that. Just an overview of what the psychologist actually did. It says 20% of what we hear we can retain. It also said 30% of what we see we can retain. It says 50% of what we see and hear, like for example, watching this presentation, you can actually hear what I'm saying. You can actually see the program and actually showing. So it said 50% of that can be retained. It also says 70% of what we discuss with others. For example, like creating a quiz, the wikis, the blogs, you see, and forums. You see people going online asking questions about the particular program. Sometimes we have problems with our softwares, with our programs. We try to go on the internet, try to know people that have solutions to this, and we submit questions, and people try to give us answers. These are the same way, the same method e-learning works. Students can actually go online on the forums, on your blogs as an instructor, on your wikis you created, discussion groups. They can go there and ask questions about a particular subject, and because they created a question themselves, they are able to remember 70% of what the answer is all about. And 80% of what we experience, 80% of how we experience e-learning, how do I often do e-learning? And if I offer doing e-learning, then I get used to it. Like people will say, experience is the best teacher, whereby you experience the more experience you have, the more knowledge you have about a particular program. Then another 5% of what we teach someone else, like earlier on said, when you have the students actually have to monitor a particular program, you have to give them, you have to make them host a particular discussion, you have to give them instructional administrative rights whereby they can communicate with their students, and with these students can actually have e-learning as an interesting aspect of their life. And looking at the table, we have the instructor led, which is offsite. When I mean by offsite, meaning that it's not online, meaning that it's actually communicating with the student either in a classroom or in a building or probably in a training session or whatever place it is, it's actually done in a building. But the e-learning is actually a distant learning whereby in this aspect of distant learning, because we all have kinds of distant learning, because distant learning is not just about learning online, looking at your products, looking at your content online, looking at the materials online. E-learning can also be done via posting of CD-ROMs, posting of books to you. You can learn on your own, but you cannot be online while you're learning. So on the e-learning aspect, you can actually be studying from home after work, whereby after work you can come online and you can see the content of what the instructor has loaded, and you can just start studying. So looking at the table, we see that there's a big difference between instructor-led training, which is an off-site whereby they have to be in a building, and also an e-learning. So if you read through this table in my presentation, you'll be able to understand that e-learning is actually the way forward in order for us to reach a particular goal. How to invest in softwares. How to invest in softwares. Looking at the page, looking at the page 7, we just want to bring some of the e-learning components. We have a self-paced training, whereby a training that is delivered over the internet. Although it could be via book, like I said the other time, you can also provide it through CD-ROM or video formats, whatever place whatever platform you're actually providing to the learners. You also have virtual events, like for example, actually attend they call it the Microsoft Certified Trainer Virtual Summit. Actually, it's a place where people go, like the conference are attended on the 20th. Now, instead of me to be live there with the conference, whereby I have to drive through traffic and all that, I can actually from home connect to my computer and actually be listening to the conference while the presenter is doing his presentation. Mentoring, on the mentoring aspect, where I was talking about the e-learner centered, you have where you can have a office hours, you can have a periodic check of emails, you can actually coach them on a particular program. They're like simulations, like I said, creating a labs, trying to create a program, how it works, trying to show them how it works. You can, if you go through research, you find that simulations are actually one of the tools that you can actually use for your e-learners. Then live workshops, like I was saying at the time, you can actually do live workshops like attending workshops online. Then you have authoring tools, you have e-stores whereby you can meet your students. Now, if you look at the benefits of online learning versus classroom training, access is limited because there's no internet connection. So on the online learning, you have 24 hours. Quality, it varies. It varied, then it's consistent. Then you have results measurement. It's really difficult. It's automatic because the teacher has to mark scores. He has to write them on books. Has to make so many calculations. But with the e-learning, it's automated. When the students have taken the test, it automatically gives you the score of the students. So basically, e-learning is really the way forward. Now, looking at how can we invest in softwares, one of the first question about e-learning is its cost. People said it cost. Motorola said it was cheaper for them. My question is it cheaper for us? I found out that I have to buy a lot of software that cost me over 3,000 rands. Some cost me 2,500 rands. Some cost me 10,000 rands. Some makes me to pay subscription for a year for over 4,000 rands. And I would say, to me, it's expensive, but it says it's cost. Now we need to understand what it means when it says it's going to cost, because we understand most of us have tried to implement e-learning, but it's really costing us a lot of money. Looking at the bandwidth problem we have in Africa, looking at the bandwidth problem we're facing, yeah, most of us actually have good bandwidth connection, but not everybody have good bandwidth connections. So we can actually see that is one of the biggest challenge in actually making e-learning to work in Africa. But we can start from somewhere. We can start doing something, and until we get there, we know that we at least we have some knowledge. We're going forward and not just relaxing. Become knowledgeable consumers. Like I'll put this word, become an expertise consumer. Know how this product works. Look at some of the products. They have trial versions. Go for the trial versions. Try to look at them. Try to work with the trial versions. Try to know how it works. What are the aspects you can work with those trial versions before you begin the purchasing process? Try to use the program. Try to know if it will work. Softwares for developing your courses. Looking at the software today in the world, there are lots of softwares that you can use to create programs. There are softwares you can actually use to create PDF files, PDF programs. How does this software work in meeting your e-learning needs? So if you want to invest in those software, you need to know how it goes far to develop courses for you. Software for webcasting courses. There are programs you can actually use to do webcasting, like going online. When we talk about webcasting, means the person or the learner has to be online to view a particular program or a particular course you've created. There's software for managing enrollment in courses. Like I was saying the other time, you have the LMS, which is the learning management system, that is actually used to monitor enrollment, reports, you're able to see the analysis of students. So if you're implementing a particular program, you have a particular software, you have to know if they offer these tools. Training. To become a good instructor, an online instructor, or an online teacher, or an online educator, first you need to know how e-learning works. Become an e-learner. Go for training. If there are particular programs you need to get used to, go for the training. Go and train how to use those programs. Have training how to use those software. Learn how to do them. Become e-learners. Become e-learners. Become e-learners. Try to use e-learning. Try to see how they conduct e-learning sessions. And with that, you'll be able to develop your own e-learning programs and sessions. Some of the tips I would like to give to you. Number one, like I said, organize your course materials into folders for your computer. If you look at most of the programs in the e-learning aspect, you'll find out that creating programs has actually not become very easy. But with the LMS, it's very easy, because the LMS, the learning management system, if you have a program you're using that has the integration of an LMS, you can actually organize the programs in your computer and actually have to upload them straight up to your platform or whatever programs you're using. If, for example, using a Moodle, which is a popular program being used in South Africa, you can actually upload your content to online. So, for example, you have materials in PDF files. I see when I was doing my research, I saw most people who conduct e-learning, those who are providing curriculum development and programs, they actually have programs on CD-ROMs, they actually have it on hard books. And if you look at it, most people actually are not using hard books and CD-ROMs more often now. Most of them have their content online, whereby when you make your purchase, you can actually download the content online and convert as many of your content files as possible to a HTML format. What I mean by this, there are most authoring softwares actually have a platform whereby you can upload your content in an HTML format to a particular LMS program or LCMS integration program or software you're actually using. So with the authoring software, it's more faster to upload this content onto the internet, whereby you can actually look and actually see an easy way of making sure your content are available online. So it's a very good tool, and it makes it very easy for your learners to look at those materials regardless of the program they're working, because with an HTML format they can actually use their browsers to actually view this program. They don't need to download special softwares, costly softwares in order for them to view the program. Then I said convert as many of your handouts into PDF, so that your students will be able to access the program, because statistics shows that 98% of people who have computers around the world today have the PDF, the Adobe Reader program on their laptops. When I was installing my the Windows XP Service Pack 3, and that was the 2008 version, I was surprised to see that after installing the software, I had the Adobe Reader installed already. So it's really interesting to know that majority of our softwares today, we install them. They also install the PDF because it's a free program, so it's always there. Then I also say convert as many of. When I mean convert as many, there are many of programs on the internet that you can actually use as converting programs to a PDF format. Now there's a popular program I call the Prime Pro. It's PRIMO. Then you have the Pro, PRO, and this program actually enables you to. It's called a PDF printer. Yeah, it's called a PDF printer. Now, when you create a program, particularly maybe in Microsoft Word, and you want to export the document into a PDF file, if you look at the Microsoft Office 2007 for Microsoft Word, you actually have the program. Now, with that Prime Pro, you can actually print that PDF file in a format whereby you can create your own description. You can create the owner of that particular PDF file. You can also create eruption, whereby you can prevent the content from being copied. Yeah, you can prevent the content from being copied. You can also create a password, whereby you can erupt a password, whereby the only people that can access it are people who have the password. For more information for that, you can contact me. I'll be able to show you how it works. Before you consider which set of tools to use, develop your e-learning. Like I always say from beginning, try to attend e-learning. Try to look at programs that offer free e-learning. If you look at the manuals they give you on page 12, if you go through to, you visit the website, the website is wih.webhost.utexas.edu. You actually find some courses there. Try to see how those courses were created. Try to see how it was done, and try to attend programs. Try to attend other websites that offer free e-learning programs, and you actually will make a good e-learning sessions. My conclusion: in order to ensure e-learning is used by our learners and embraced by our organization, the number one thing we should remember is it's all about business and providing a business solution. Number one, we all know the popular word return on investment, but I would say it's return on expectation. The learner expecting better ways. The organization is expecting results. Yes, we all know it's about the return on investment, but also we should also consider the fact that it's about the return on expectation, because people are expecting. As you listen to my presentation, you're expecting me to say something. You're expecting me to say one or two things. You're expecting something as you're watching this presentation. So when you try creating your e-learning, the learners are expecting something. The organization is expecting to deliver something unique. Number two, it's all about enabling e-learning and driving performance. It's not about the training. It's about making sure that e-learning can meet the needs of the learners and also can drive their performance. And it's about the people and not the technology. The technology has been there for years. Um, some technologies are coming up, and we all know it's about the people and not the technology. If the people love the technology, if the people love the program you're doing, they know the technology that you're using. So it's all about the people, not the technology. Then marketing and change of management are critical. We need to know how we can reach our students. We need to know the ways we can be able to communicate with them, how we can motivate them to actually embrace our e-learning platform. And the change of management are critical in the sense that we need to understand the aspect of managing our programs. What are the things we need to put in place? Like I said, it's not optional, it's critical. I think we did it. I don't know if we've done it, but I think so far we've been able to understand some of the key concepts, some of the ways, some of the ideas we need to put in place to actually achieve e-learning. If you look at if you look at the last page, which is number 12 on your manuals you have with you right now, you will discover that I have some websites you can actually visit. Try to go through the website. There are manuals there, there are instruction manuals for you to actually know how this program works. For the virtual classroom, I've actually used the WYSIQ. It's actually a very good program. It's free to use it, but except you want to personalize it and have more features. You can actually have a subscription. I think it costs about 40 something dollars a year. I really don't know. I don't know what it costs right now, but you can go through the website. It's www.wiziq. That's wiziq.com. It's actually a very good program. I've used it before. It's actually very good. You can actually upload content as you're doing your training. You can upload presentations and open source softwares. You can check if you go through the page 12, you can also see open source learning management softwares. These programs, I've actually looked at them, and they actually meet the needs for some institutions. Commercial learning management is you have to pay. You have to actually have to buy or make or pay a subscription. And you have your social networks. You have free blogging softwares. You have authoring tools. Please try to go through this website. Try to see how they can help you. It's the starting point. We need to start doing something, and as we go on with our e-learning experience, we'll be able to make it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I'm not able to meet some of your expectations, but if you have more questions, you can feel free to email me. You can also visit my website. You can drop your comments. I'll be very happy to help you out. If there are other considerations, if there are other things that you're expecting me to say, you can also contact me. I'll be able to provide you with some solutions. I'll be able to provide you with some advice. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good e-learning. Good luck. Bye-bye.